what is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the 6th album by rapper Nelly. Basically this project is called 5.0 and it came out in the fall of 2010. So despite the fact that this is Nelly's 5th album in terms of the chronology as to how he named it, it's actually his 6th one if you count Sweat and Suit as albums as far as this pitch can happen. So he dropped 5 albums across the 2000s. This would be his 6th one within those fairs. Definitely recommend all of these as far as this pitch can happen. I've reviewed all of these up to this particular point, so there's just a few more to get to as far as this first can happen. But this is some excellent type of appeal. This kind of brings Nelly to like a new spotlight circa like the early 2010s and pitches like that as folks started to get more distant from like some of Nelly's biggest hits of like the early 2000s, like Ride With Me, Dilemma, Hot in Here, some of those type ones. Even like My Place, some of those type ones from like the early and mid 2000s as far as those fairs can happen. Nelly kind of hit like a minor kind of snafu after Grills just because like Brass Knuckles from 2008 just didn't translate that well, and despite the fact that I gave that like a classic score, definitely thoroughly enjoyed that particular product. It was just really not that it was not that humongously successful as far as those fairs can happen compared to Nelly going diamond with Country Grammar and like 7 or 8 tons platinum or even 9 tons platinum with Nellyville. Is just kind of the pitch that the particular aspect was just that Brass Knuckles, I want to say, didn't even go gold as far as those pitch kind of went. So it's just the appeal behind it was just a little bit compared to Nelly between 2000 and 2005 was just a lot different. But basically the appeal, bringing him mildly back into the spotlight, like this album succeeded in bringing Nelly to like some new audiences as far as those aspects kind of happened. Was just kind of the tone that really, the only true song that really had that widespread kind of chart appeal from his early days was just the song Just a Dream amongst those pitches. It's kind of good, particular time like a makeshift kind of juror, similar to like stuff that Rihanna and Avril Lavigne were kind of doing with like more just after worship time, kind of after worship kind of glaze as far as those pitches can happen. Just the aspect of something that's just great for like 3:30, 4:30 p.m. pitches like that, just within the tone. It's just kind of the concept that a lot of these singles just continue to not chart that well, but Nelly has some new tricks on this particular album. This is a classic album here, I'm going to say. Just like I said with Brass Knuckles from 2008, I feel like within that sense, that's a classic as well. It just was not really given as much of a chance. It was just kind of the concept that it felt around this time that Nelly mildly does some of the stuff that Flo Rida does on here, but it's just kind of the pitch. I think folks were more just preferring Flo Rida more amongst those aspects, considering that Nelly was not so much becoming like a fossil, but it was just within the pitch as far as saying that it was just like for some reason pop rappers just seem to have like a shorter spotlight, just thinking of folks like Flo Rida and Post Malone, some of those type folks. So there was a new cat within the shine in the spotlight as far as this pitch could happen. It was Flo Rida, and he was just nailing hits left and right. It was just within the appeal that Nelly kind of felt like an afterthought within those pitches. He did have a couple of minor hits beyond Just a Dream off this product, but for the most part it was just kind of the pitch that it was just more in like a nostalgic sense more so than full blown like a claim to fame again and like returning to the limelight. So it's just kind of pitch. I mean, for nostalgia's sake, it does work pretty heavily within the aspect. Again, Nelly, he nails tons of vibes on here. There's some good. This has a good boisterous amount of like guests and backing. Has some good stuff. Like, you know, Plies is on here, Chris Brown's on here, T.I.'s on here, Yo Gotti's on here, Akon, T-Pain are on here, Avery Storm, Murphy Lee, Dirty Money, Sean Paul, a bunch of folks like that. Some producers like Mr. Bangladesh, Jim Johnson, Polo the Don, folks like that. Surprising. The only thing about this particular product though is just the fact that it doesn't have Nelly's kind of longtime producer, and I'm not sure if like Brass Knuckles had J.E. on there either, but J.E. Epperson, the cat that did a lot of beats for Nelly's albums between Country Grammar to about Sweatsuit from 2005 as far as this pitch can happen, is just not really on this particular album. Not sure if they had like a fallout or something like that. Probably would have been nice to have gotten at least one song to see what he could have done with Nelly around those particular times. So it's just in the pitch, but I really want to say that that was also the pitch that J.E. was not on like Brass Knuckles either. It's just within the fair, but it's just some good concepts. But yeah, in certain senses, critic reception about this product kind of felt like this was decent, but it just didn't have the classic appeal. But Nelly basically nails these vibes. He has some new tricks on here. It's just more the fact that he just was kind of out of like the commercial spotlight more so than just the concept of him not being able to nail a good album. It's just within the pitch. Sometimes that happens where like with Lil Wayne, where an artist will continue to get a lot of good albums and pitches like that, but it's just kind of concept as far as saying that it just feels like these artists are washed up within the pitch and just don't have the same charm they had like in their prime. It's just more over the fact that Nelly's just not in his prime as much on this particular album as much as like the album not being good. This is a classic. I'm going to give it, I recommend every song on here minus one, and that includes like the 16th song that's only on the iTunes Deluxe. That's just within the pitch. But so yeah, there were 3 singles. Just being able to say within that aspect, really only one of these is really probably one that would say was probably heard for the most part as far as those aspects kind of happened. One of which was like the second single was at least like a top 60 single, but apart from that, it was mainly just anchored by Just a Dream, which was a top 3 single. So Just a Dream is like a classic new era Nelly and like a typical day kind of malaise, kind of end of work shift relief, I'd have to say here. This particular song has some real good radio appeal about it. So it's just the concept of this one pretty much was pretty anchored throughout the radio between like mid-late 2010 about the early 2010s. This is pretty much one of the most recent This is pretty much one of the most recent hits I can think of for Nelly, of something that you'd hear on like standard rhythmic radio today when you're not hearing songs like Ride With Me or Hot in Here, some of those type ones that are just typical kind of classic Nelly hits that are just, probably forever bound. It's just kind of the concept that this is probably like a swan song for Nelly in terms of like the pitch of something you're going to hear in like commercial radio in like terms of more just standard fashion. I mean, unless you're listening to hardcore radio or something where you're going to hear like some secondary singles that are not number ones and number threes and number fives, just kind of within the pitch of this is probably the most recent one. But then again, I want to say there were a couple of minor hits, but I want to say this is probably more than likely the most recent one for the aspect, because I don't remember MO from 2013 having that many, and it's the same thing with like Heartland, but just in the pitch, this is probably the most recent one. But just has that glazed type appeal. This feels like something you'd listen to 3:45, just got done with class or work, pitches like that, 4:15, like that late day kind of summer fried type setting, just in a more makeshift type sense. So this is the sort of tone that Nelly just nailed differently this time, just a little bit more kind of blue collar bound just within the pitch, just a little bit more factor within the concept of like some work shifts. So it's just some good type tones for that. It works that typical kind of glaze. Move That Body's a nice second single, and this has Akon and T-Pain. Move That Body has Akon and T-Pain on there, which is a good type pitch to kind of get just within the tone as far as saying. It's basically one of the most recent team-ups I can think with both of them on a song as far as those first going to happen, considering the fact that T-Pain had left Akon's label by like the late 2000s, and this was early 2010s. So it's just in the pitch, like T-Pain's Revolver from 2011 was not on Akon's label. At least I don't think it was, and Akon really stopped being on songs with T-Pain after about 2008. So it's just from the pitch that this is a late grab as far as those pitches can go, but it is a nice one. This is some nice new tricks from Nelly as far as those fairs going to happen with like a recent Akon and T-Pain collab. I'd have to say this has like some good kind of EDM club flavor. So it's just a nice one. This feels like something Pitbull would do. Lil Jon would do some of those type pitches. Feels like Pitbull from 2009. Feels like Lil Jon from 2010 with Crunk Rock. Feels like David Guetta and Tayo Cruz, some of those type pitches. Just good type tones, the aspect, but it just probably feels like Flo Rida probably should have done a song like this more in a sense. It's just a little bit of nostalgic just because it's the concept of this really having like some 2000s type flavor about it, but it's just within the pitch that it nails that particular vibe in like a more throwback type fashion. So it's good type appeal. Real nice bass and thump out this particular one. Great Friday type music. This is the appeal of this song is probably heavier than the chart appeal that it got. So it's just in the pitch. This is a good song, but it's just not super recognizable because this song didn't really follow up the potential of the particular Just a Dream that was the top 30 singles. So it's a good song, but this is not as casual bound. Then Gone is the third single. This is another kind of one that's a good song, but this is not as much like the predominance that Nelly was supposed to get, but it's like a super sequel to Dilemma from way back in the early 2000s. Gone is like a super sequel to Dilemma from way back in the early 2000s as far as what's first going to happen. It's that same summer heartache. Gone is like that same summer heartache just melded to like the 2010s, I'd have to say here. Just basically 2002 and 2010 as far as what's first going to happen. Just taking a song from Dilemma, just early 2000s kind of summer, just like early 2000s kind of summer heat as far as those fairs going to happen, just in like a more romantic type sense, just in a more kind of 2010 type fashion within the aspects. So it's good type tone as far as nailing that. Kelly Rowland is on this song just like she was on Dilemma, so it's just basically like a recharge type one to kind of get. And I like that kind of concept when artists will kind of do that, and especially when they nail the chemistry just in the pitch. Like when you think of like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, when they do songs, for the most part it's usually a hot ticket considering their chemistry. It's just a good aspect to get some of those type moments. Like when you think of Akon and Young Jeezy with like Soul Survivor, when you think of like Fat Joe and Lil Wayne with Make It Rain, some of those type ones that just have consistent team ups and just be able to do it time and again. But this is a clever concept just to see if they could do it again. It was kind of haphazard. It worked within a relative type sense in a more hardcore rap type territory. It worked a lot better, but it's just within the pitch as far as saying that. It just, I think for like a new fashion, it kind of had the delivery of doing it, but obviously Dilemma was a number one within those pitches. Just kind of the tone that it's just kind of like a revival of it when it did pretty damn well within the pitch. So it's just 2010's version, that good type tone. It really wasn't given as much the full bound chance. But to talk about this particular album here, so there's 16 songs in this particular album that I'm reviewing. Basically, the 16th song on Spotify, there's at least 15 songs in the deluxe edition, which ends with the song Kiss, which has Dirty Money Money and Murphy Lee on there, but the 16th song that's on iTunes, which I do recommend purchasing that edition and get this song, is Giving Her the Grind with Sean Paul, and I do recommend that song. So the only real song out of the 16 including that song that I don't recommend is just Go featuring Talib Kweli and Ali, which basically that particular song is just kind of like an Outback type song within a pitch, and just like some real kind of heartland countryside groove in as far as this pitch can have, and just a cruise around this within more of like a stretching type sense. This feels like something, it's like a worse version of something that like Jason Aldean or a standard country artist would kind of do. I mean, obviously Nelly can nail these country type songs, but it's just kind of the pitch to that one just didn't have as much pizzazz about it. I mean, for the most part, it has a pretty it nails that particular vibe of like a heartland stretcher in more senses than it does, and was just kind of the pitch. I just question how often I would listen to that particular song. So it's just in the pitch, but this album still gets a 10 out of 10. Every other song on here I recommend. Just to go down the list of some of these. So She's So Fly with T.I. is a real nice one. It's like a super glossy and stylish kind of graceful shopping and hop with Bellas as far as those pairs going to happen. Just some day shift commerce fun to kind of get within those aspects. So it's just a good commerce of just like date afternoons, pitches like that, standard fare, just like some frolic just in the pitch behind. Just real stylish, glossy type song kind of get within those aspects. Just good type tone for that. It feels real belly and floaty with an aspect. It's real butter smooth type song kind of get there. Really feels like there should be an R&B singer on this hook somewhere, but then Nelly particularly nails those vibes. He does hooks on this particular album like he did back in the early 2000s, just more melded to like the 2010s type style within those pitches. So it's not like, with 50 Cent later on, he didn't do as many hooks compared to like the way he did with like his early 2000s, but it's just the pitch that Nelly has some new ones, but it's just more in like a new trendy type fashion. It's just the fact that it just didn't break through as well as like it did with Flow Rider. So it's just a good type pitch, but Broke is a nice one. This has Yo Gotti and Sophie Green on here. This has this doesn't have a Nelly hook, but it's a nice one. This is like a deep city weaving commerce kind of get here. Just some late day summer traffic, I would feel like, in Snack Run. I would definitely feel like about this song. Good concert for that. And it's like some homies kind of smoke some with that particular pitch about it. So it's just kind of one. This feels like some real STL type flavor. This feels like a song that probably the Saint Lunatics would have done like in 2010 had they made an album around that time. Just the commerce, like some Midwest kind of city hop within the pitch behind it. Like I was saying, just good Snack Run type music, just real summer heat and traffic within the fare behind it. It's kind of a more day shift type fashion, a little bit more just kind of like Just a Dream within the day shift type fashion, but just a little bit more with like not so much malaise about it and like the gazing within the pitch, just a little bit more in the mix, and just kind of the concept of like some frenetic, gonna get to some spices and have some good times within the pitch behind. So it's a good type tone. Long Gone is a nice one. This has Plies and Chris Brown on there. It's like a vintage kind of mid 2000s kind of DJ drama mixtape vibes about this one, and like a glossy up tempo kind of step out sense I'd have to say here, and it's like some grand kind of venue primer I'd have to say. So it's just good concept here. Getting ready to step out a bit, get to songs like Move That Body, some of those type ones, songs like Live the Night and Don't It Feel Good, some of those type pitches. This has a lot of Friday appeal about it, so some good type aspects, but this is just a nice one to be able to have for like, it's a good concept because I didn't really think as much that Nelly had those particular DJ drama type, soul type songs from like the Don Cannon days, like 2005, 2006, some of those type fairs, but it's a good type pitch, gonna get that on like an album. It's getting back to that. But this one's not as woozy, this one's not as smoke centric. I had to say it's a good concept that probably you might have some smokes in your system. It's just kind of the pitch as far as being able to. Long Gone's just kind of within the pitch, like some good snap out of within the tone behind. So it's just a soulful type song in like an up tempo kind of sense. It's a good, just some good excitement for that particular appeal. Nice one. 1,000 Stacks is a nice appeal. This has a good Biggie sample on there, which is some pretty dope appeal about it. This is like a crunchy kind of nightclub shift, I would have to say. Just a little bit tipsy. It's a good song to be a little tipsy, I'd have to say. Some good thunder, I would definitely feel like here. Just a lively kind of Nelly from like the Hot in Here days. I definitely feel like he has some real kind of frenetic type energy on this one. It's just an overall raw type song to get. So this one's pretty similar to like this one's pretty similar to Broke, just that same sort of spice about it, just that lively kind of activeness, just in a more night shift kind of setting as far as those first kind of happen. Just a good concept. This has some Puff Daddy backing vocals on this particular songs and pitches like that, so he assists with this particular song. This really feels like something possibly Biggie would have had the fashion about doing had he made it to way out in 2010s. It's a good pitch to have some of that relative appeal. It's a good pitch to have some of that appeal, and I just look within the tone. This is basically, this is just like some Southern Fried kind of crunchiness, just with an aspect behind it. It's a real nice one to kind of have some drinks in your system. Just good concept, like some of that dance club type heat, just in a more, it basically feels like Nelly from Hot in Here, just within the pitch, as far as just being a little bit more something that like someone like Yo Gotti or like Ludacris would kind of do within those fashions. So it's just within the tone. This feels ripped out of, this is one that feels more ripped out of like 2006 or 2007. This feels like the pitch is something that feels, this is one that doesn't feel as recent to like today's times that I'd say. It was a good pitch for that. Live the Night's a nice one. Now this one feels a little bit more contemporary to 2010s, like a grand kind of early 2010s radio grab to kind of get here. This probably should have been a single if it had. I think he probably would have been biting Flo Rida a little bit, but it's a good concept to be able to get this one here. It's just like Flo Rida and Tayo Cruz, some of those type folks should feel ripped out of 2009, 2010 definitely. Some dance club heat I'd have to say, and just some high casual flair about this one. So this is probably one that just has a little bit more trendiness, just the concept of something that's all over the radio between folks like Usher, Pitbull, Tayo Cruz, David Guetta, some of those type folks I would say just real feels like an EDM type dance bounce within it, good type tone. The same thing with Don't It Feel Good, it's another real minty type one. It's like a fresh and glissy kind of pop rap step out to kind of get here, just feeling great. I would definitely feel like with this one, just some real great suave, or some real great smooth ambience about this one, just a snazzy kind of nightlife fashion kind of get here, and a great song to get crunk to as far as what's first going to happen. Definitely get some drinks in your system, just the product is just like some good step out within the sense of just like, alright, it's Friday, just getting towards it like 10 o'clock at night, don't have shit to do the next day, just kind of within the pitch of just getting towards the tone and just being able to have like some good ferociousness just within it. So it's good grand energy on that one. I would say that Making Movies is a quality one. Now this one goes pretty well with like the song Gone. It's just kind of the concept, but this one's a little bit more of like a sleepy kind of R&B flavored gem I'd have to say here. Pretty similar to like Dilemma and like a Nightcap fashion I'd have to say, just some summer nights towards those first gonna happen. So just Summer Heartache, just in a more kind of dreary, just kind of winding down type fashion, just kind of that pitch. It's something that Dilemma would have been in 2002 or Gone would have been in like 2010, is the more fashion of it being like more 11 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, just wind down type fare, just like just that lust and gazing amongst those aspects as far as those tones going to happen with it. Just good type of appeal as far as those aspects going to go along with it. Good, nice R&B flavored pitch towards that one as far as those first going to go. Number one is a pretty nice one as well within those pitches. This is like a hot ticket kind of Miami fried mixtape style cruise around to definitely get within those fashions. This feels like it has like a runner's type beat about it. And this is like some bravado. This has like a runner's beat, like bravado about it, I'd have to say, and it's like a good day hop to kind of get here. This is just a good day hop type fashion within some of those type pitches, I'd say. This really feels like something DJ Khaled would do, and that's the fact he is on that song, and so is Birdman as far as those first going to happen. Just a good type of appeal of getting something that just kind of has like the pizzazz of just something ripped out of 2006, 2008, so some good type of appeals for that. Yeah, it's just, I do like the balance of this particular product. It does have some taste like 2000s type flavors for those aspects can happen, so some good type tones for just that throwback type appeal. But yeah, I'd say Kiss is a nice one as well. It's like a glared kind of night venue ambience kind of get here. Definitely recommend it to definitely get the deluxe edition as well. It's like a preoccupied kind of step out with homies, I'd have to say. It's kind of like Ride With Me from 2001, but just kind of in the more 2010s type haze of that particular fashion about it. So it's just good type tones for that. Now obviously this is more night venue bound compared to like a cruise around as far as those pitch can happen, with that same sort of just syrupy kind of just laden kind of aspects of just like a commercial friendly type one within the pitch, but just kind of the aspect of this more within the venue ambience. It's the same sort of tone. Kiss has a lot of commercial appeal about it as far as those aspects kind of happen there. Just good cameo to get Murphy Lee on here way out in 2010, considering he wasn't around that much around those particular times. Dirty Money's a good cameo as well, just looking within the tone behind it. It basically feels, I mean, this had, like I was saying, this has a lot of commercial appeal about it within the tones. A lot of these songs on this album kind of do within those pitches, but this is just a nice one for some. This is basically something that feels like it could be a radio single, just like some, just more, just kind of has that particular larger than life type appeal, something that just has like that, just overall feel good type energy of a song like Ride With Me, just in a more night venue kind of ambience about it. So it's just good type aspects for that. So I'd say if I gave you one's a quality one as well. It's like a typical kind of evening push, I'd have to say, just feeling live after like a usual work shift relief, I'd have to say here, good concert for that. And it's like some extra thoughts kind of pep, I'd have to say, and it's a good song for drifting. It's a good pitch about that. So this is just one that feels like the opposite type fashion of a song. This feels like a good fashion for something like Just a Dream, just in a relative opposite type. If I gave you one, this feels like a song within a relative opposite type fashion of Just a Dream, just not quite as like forlorn within the pitch compared to Just a Dream. It's just the pitch about this one, and just has pep about it within the X. If I gave you one, has pep about it within the push behind it as far as those aspects gonna happen. It's kind of, it just really feels like some extra thoughts here as far as those aspects gonna happen. It's kind of one where, if I gave you one, this feels like an extra thoughts type song, because it's not really like a makeshift song that's full bound, and it's not really like a dance club type song, Friday type song, or a Monday type song. It's just kind of within the pitch as far as just like some extra time, just kind of within the aspect of this, something for just kind of, it kind of feels like a fashion of just a song for killing some time, just with some bells in mind as far as those aspects kind of happen. So it's just a real, this strange type song within the pitch, but it nails the particular vibe doing it. It's not an awkward type song. I would say it's an awkward type song, but it's not awkward in terms of quality. It's just awkward in terms of the pitches, just like the variety as to where it would pop up within some of those type of affairs, because it's not really work shift, not really recreations, just kind of within the aspect, just some in-between type moments. It's a good type tone for that. And the iTunes bonus song, Giving Her the Grind's a quality one as well. It's like a good 2010s kind of EDM and dance hall fusion kind of get here. Basically just like getting Sean Paul in like 2010, 2011, I'd have to say, with like Nelly from like some of his particular days around this time. It's like a syrupy kind of promo night, I'd have to say here, and just like a radio ready hopper as far as this pitch kind of happens. It's basically just like getting is the Sean Paul kind of 2010, 2011 single, some of those type pitches. Same thing with Nelly. It's just the aspect behind getting some of these type folks in commercial type fashion just ripped out of 2011. So it's good type appeals for that. I think I've talked about every song off this particular album minus the song Nothing Without Her, so we'll get to that one. Nothing Without Her is like a nice tone switch up to kind of get here to like a rainy day kind of makeshift. Nothing Without Her is like a nice tone switch up to like a rainy day kind of makeshift commute, I'd have to say, and this goes well with Just a Dream, I'd have to say. So it's just a concept. Just a Dream's a little bit more day shift malaise. If Just a Dream's like a, I'd say if Just a Dream's like a glazed kind of summer evening, this haze of like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock p.m., I'd say that probably Nothing Without Her is just like a rainy day kind of Tuesday afternoon pitch, just like that same sort of pitch, just something for like, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, just in a more rainy day type fashion. Same sort of tone and typical makeshift push within some of those aspects. This kind of concept, just like some good type ones. Good concepts for some good radio appeal within a lot of these. Just the songwriting's pretty excellent on a lot of this. Just the appeal behind as far as those aspects going to go. So I would definitely say like the casual score is going to get a pretty high grade as far as those pitches going to happen as well. So I look within the tone. That's the concept about it. So I think I talked about every song. I don't know if I talked about making movies. I'll talk about this one again. And if I did talk about it, I'll just snip it. But basically making movies, I think is like, I don't know if I talked about making movies. I'm going to talk about this one. If I did talk about it, I'll just snip it as far as those aspects going to happen. But basically making movies like a more sleepy kind of R&B flavor gem to kind of get here. Pretty similar to like Dilemma and like a nightcap fashion. I'd say this is good for like some summer nights as far as those aspects going to happen. So yeah, I think I did talk about this one just in the pitch behind it. So yeah, I just would have to say about this album. So it gets a 10 out of 10 here as far as those aspects going to go within the tone behind it. The social score is going to get a 10 out of 10 within the relative pitch. Maybe like a 9.75. I look within the appeal. It'd probably be like a 9.75 instead just in the pitch. I mean, the quality is definitely on here. Just kind of the factoid that just behind saying that apart from Just a Dream, most of this particular album kind of plucked as far as like the aspect of just like the casual bound kind of ness. It really didn't have too much aspects. I mean, I think it was just the nostalgia factor for just like old time's sake as far as saying, hey, what's up with Nelly? Some of those type pitches, just thinking past his normal hits like Ride With Me and Dilemma and some of those type of ones, and My Place and Grills and some of those type pitches. But once you start getting past like about 2005 was this kind of aspect that some folks just probably thought that Nelly was just out of the spotlight and was just kind of, that Nelly was just kind of out of the spotlight and just kind of more of a dinosaur as far as those pitch can happen. It's definitely not the case. This is a classic here within the pitch behind it. It's just kind of the tone that apart from Just a Dream, this just didn't really catch on as casually. So it's just within the pitch, but excellent type of appeal. Just like the aspect behind it. Just has some great stuff on here, some treadiness. Nelly does adapt to these styles. It's not as if he's a dinosaur. Actually, it's just kind of the concept that it just felt like he just didn't have the connect with like the new audience. It just felt like he just didn't have as much connect as he probably needed to amongst these times as far as those pitch kind of went. But it's just kind of the tone. Flow Ride is a little bit more trendy around this particular time. It's not like Nelly sucked or anything like that. It's just kind of the pitch that this was a more switching of the times for those aspects can happen. So it's good type tone. That's the pitch. I give it a 9.75 social. Has the makeshift songs on here. Has the Friday and EDM type songs. Has some good pizzazz, some good night flavors, some good songs get tore up to pitches like that. Plenty good guests and that sort of flair. Great productions, great hooks, great pizzazz. It's overall excellent aspects of 9.75. In terms of future, like Nelly has not dropped an album since 2021. I'm going to get to some more of these for those aspects going to happen. I'm eventually going to get to MO and some of his mixtapes, some of those type of appeals. I'm going to get to some of the Saint Lunatics crew like Murphy Lee and some of those type of folks just within the aspect. I actually have one of those folks coming very soon as far as those aspects going to go. So just within the tone behind it, we'll just get to some of those. But yeah, I look after here. This is a classic just from the aspect, despite the fact that it was kind of washed out of the spotlight and kind of more off to the wayside. This was kind of like a 2010 type classic, despite the fact that it was kind of more washed off to the wayside and just didn't have as much full bound appeal. But I look after this blitzing type one has the appeal behind it. I would definitely dig this project up, despite the fact that like its lack of casual appeal, and it is pretty good blitzer.